Hi everyone, my name is Julie Sebi. I write the Analytics Corner blog that focuses on data engineering and analytics with Alteryx and Spotfire. If you don't really want to watch a video, you can find the written version of this post on my website shown on the screen or a direct link in the video description. If you learned something today, please do me a favor and share this link on social media or subscribe to my channel. Okay, so last week I wrote a post on using access names on cross tables. My examples calculated the difference in amounts between two scenarios on a cross table. I also needed to know the difference in well counts between scenarios, this time on a bar chart. But when I changed the aggregation from sum to a count distinct, the calculations didn't work anymore. And that's because counts work differently than the other aggregation methods. So in this video, I'm going to show you why counts work differently and how to modify your expressions accordingly. So to begin, let's review from the last post. I wanted to calculate the difference in amount between scenarios on this cross table. So this top table is my raw data, and then in this bottom table is where I have written an expression. And so the expression is the sum of the amount minus the sum of the amount over previous axis.columns. Now, it is actually a little bit more complicated than this. There are a few things that you have to set up, and I cover that in the blog post in the long version. This is the short version recap, but you can find it at the link shown on the screen. Now let's go to my next page, the counts page. This is where I tried to apply the same aggregation, but I just changed out, obviously, amount is now well completion name, and I'm still using axis.columns, but I am using unique count instead of a sum. The negative 235 is in fact the difference between 482 and 717, that's right, but I expected this to be null, and instead this was coming back with values. And as I mentioned previously, I wanted this on a bar chart for presentation, and so I had also put the same expression onto my bar chart using axis.color instead of axis.columns, and you can see this is the result. And so to make this work, I really needed scenario 3 to be null, and it's not null. So why is it not null? Well, I spent the better part of an hour trying to figure this out and had exhausted all of my troubleshooting and decided to open a TIBCO support ticket. And I wanted to show support how the expression worked with amount, but not with the well count. And so I took a screenshot of my two cross tables. So here's a cross table where it works with amount, and here's the one where it obviously doesn't. And as soon as I put these two cross tables next to each other, I noticed something very important that helped me figure out why this was not null. And so maybe pause the recording, look at this for just a second, and see if you can figure out what is different between these two cross tables. And this is where I should play some Jeopardy music. Okay, so the key difference here is what's going on with previous. So previous value for my amount returned a result of null. But previous count does not return a result of null, it returns a result of 0. Essentially, 717 minus 0 does equal 717. This calculation isn't wrong. It's using the result of previous, and so this is actually right. But why is this 0? And so what it comes down to is that in Spotfire, count aggregation methods always result in a number. When counting, null is not an option. When the value is null, the count basically equals 0. And so that's why this is what it is. So once I figured this out, I was super stoked because now I understand the problem. I understand why the result is what it is. But that's only half of fixing it. So now how do we actually get the desired end result? Well, we just get a little creative with the expression using some if case logic and a strategically placed parenthesis. So I'll pop over to this page, and here you can see I've put my expression in a text area above my cross table and also above my bar chart here. And so now with my new expression, scenario 3 is populating null, and my bar chart is only showing one set of bars. It does still show scenario 3 in the color by, but I'm not worried about that. I can write an as, and it'll be fine. And so what I did here is I applied if logic that says if basically my previous calculation results in 0, instead make it null, otherwise give the count. And then subtract that from from the previous. And so this works well on the bar chart and on the cross table. It's just a little bit different. Your cross table is going to use axis.columns and your bar chart is going to use axis.color. So that was how I solved this problem. And now you know how to correctly write expressions using count and distinct count in Spotfire. So if you found this useful, please share on LinkedIn or other social media. Thank you and have a great week.